Firefighters exposed to toxic bacteria in water used to fight the Hazelwood mine blaze.
The recommendation is you don't get exposed to the water. Well, that's impossible in our job.
Good evening, Lisa Maximovic with ABC News. Firefighters battling the blaze in the Hazelwood open-cut coal mine fear they've been exposed to dangerous bacteria in the water. The United Firefighters Union says it has evidence that one of its members has already had a severe reaction to the water. The claim comes as the CFA kicks off an investigation into how well the mine was prepared for a fire. Karen Percy reports.
Extreme heat, flames, smoke, ash and dust. The hundreds of firefighters battling the fire at the Hazelwood open-cut coal mine have had to endure it all. Now it seems some of the water is contaminated.
We're breathing this stuff in, we're ingesting this, it's being absorbed through our skin. We don't know what the long-term effects are.
One firefighter had a small cut on his hand, which quickly became infected and gave him blood poisoning. He's had to have several surgeries. The United Firefighters Union has undertaken private water testing, which found that the water in the most hazardous part of the mine had E. coli present at more than 32 times acceptable levels. Another pathogen dangerous to those with burns and cuts was also present. Tests for Legionella, which can cause potentially fatal pneumonia, have yet to be completed.
The recommendation is you don't get exposed to the water. Well, that's impossible in our job. We have to use the water to fight the fire, so we can't avoid it.
Craig Lapsley advises me that there has been ongoing testing of water and air at the actual fire site in the coal mine, and he advises me that that testing has shown those conditions to be safe.
But the CFA has beefed up water monitoring in light of the report, seeking 5 additional tests from the Environmental Protection Agency. It's also begun its investigation into the circumstances of the fire.
How in which the open cut mines are prepared, how in which they operate and how in which they should operate in the future is critical.
The findings will be submitted to the inquiry, which has yet to be finalised by the government. Police continue to pursue arsonists thought to have set fire to nearby forest on the day the coal mine fire started. The CFA is hopeful the fire will be contained early next week. Karen Percy, ABC News.
This is Win News.
Tonight, concerns for the safety of personnel battling the Hazelwood mine fires. Police step up the hunt for the mine fire arsonist. And a boost for the Paynesville Water Police. Good evening, I'm Bruce Roberts. Also tonight, Lian Gather at the centre of a national plan to combat foot and mouth disease. There are claims tonight firefighters battling the blazes burning in the Hazelwood mine are being exposed to a potentially deadly bug. The United Firefighters Union is outraged it had to have the water being used to fight the fire independently tested after one of its own fell ill.
It started as a small cut, but the Footscray firefighter has since had 3 operations, resulting in 22 stitches.
In order to stop blood poisoning hitting his heart, because he got a small nick in his hand and it ended up turning septic, and he got septicemia.
Victoria's Fire Services Commissioner was this morning hopeful it was an isolated incident.
We're happy with the test regime, but we also will revisit that today.
The union says 15 of its firefighters were exposed to contamination last Monday.
15 firefighters were pumping water out of what's known as the Hara pit. There's a big dam there, and at the end of their shift they were told, why were you down there? Because it's heavily contaminated and it's a no-go zone.
Responding to mounting concerns from its members, the union paid $9,000 for independent testing, conducted under the supervision and guidance of the EPA.
We got those results back yesterday, which indicate that it's highly toxic, extreme levels of E. coli and various other bacteria,
including a potentially deadly bug.
A nasty bug called Pseudomonas aeruginosa. It's supposed to be less than 10 microorganisms per 100 ml. It's in excess of 500.
Today, the EPA, which has been testing water sources at 4 locations 3 times a week, revealed it will now test for E. coli. The union says while it won't pull its firefighters out, it must manage the risk.
We've got to make sure all PPE, protective equipment is worn and used, and that any firefighter who has any cut, abrasion or nick doesn't enter that pit.
And it says authorities should consider alternative supplies.
Rather than this toxic water that we're being forced to use.
Brooke Van Newton, Win News.
Meanwhile, the state's Fire Services Commissioner Craig Lapsley has begun a review into fire prevention and management around open-cut mines, while the task force charged with finding those responsible for starting the fire has been flooded with information. Brooke Van Newton continues our coverage.
Victoria's top cop says police have been inundated with calls about deliberately lit fires that spotted into the Hazelwood mine on February 9.
We've received over 100 pieces of additional information in the last week or so after the initial call for help.
Police have also expanded the task force charged with investigating the fire.
From 4 detectives to 10 detectives. We've also added a person from the Country Fire Authority, a fire tracker from that authority, as well as a couple of forensic scientists.
But Ken Lay stopped short of confirming whether anyone has been interviewed.
We've spoken to many people in the course of this investigation. As I've said previously, there are a number of people in this community that we know have a propensity to light fires. Obviously those people will be part of the investigation.
The 4-week-old fire has also raised concerns about the security surrounding the Latrobe Valley's open-cut mines. Fire and terrorism high on the agenda.
We need to revisit that plan now. We need to revisit the security of the entire power industry to make sure that it's as secure as it possibly can be, because we've seen in the last few months, or the last month or so, that fire is a significant risk to our power supply.
Victoria's Fire Services Commissioner today met with the Central Gippsland Essential Infrastructure Group as he embarks on a review of fire prevention and management in the mine.
It's not attempting to rewrite the open cut rules, it's actually reviewing what's already there and ensuring that they are appropriate, not only for Hazelwood, but for the whole of the Latrobe Valley.
Authorities say they're just days away from containing the fires, but emphasise the weather is a major factor.
The wind's the most critical part, that when we get excessive winds, it actually flares the fire up.
Craig Lapsley today moved to reassure the public the region won't be abandoned once the fire has been contained.
It's not a matter of getting over the weekend and seeing fire trucks leave. They'll stay in place, they'll work with the mine.
Authorities expect to be able to tell Morwell South residents on Monday when and how they can return to their homes.
When we are able to change our advice about the temporary relocation, we'll certainly issue that advice as soon as we can.
This morning, authorities addressed a business breakfast in Morwell. It comes as many try to access financial help.
We believe hopefully of even as early as next Tuesday that we can see some success with those particular grants. So they're the grants between $1,000 and $10,000.
Meanwhile, no one's owned up to a phone poll, which this week gauged Morwell voters' opinions of the coalition government's handling of the incident.
I just find it incredulous that anybody would undertake such an activity at this point in time.
Brooke Van Newton, Win News.
And Morwell residents are being offered a day of respite on Sunday with free bus services running to the Sale Music Festival. Maffra musician Micah Harrington was among a wide range of acts that played in last year's inaugural event.
I'd say there would have been about 1,000 people here, and it was a great day, great rock acts and some good solo artists as well.
It's a family day, so we encourage people to bring their picnic. There will be food here. Rotary and Lions will be providing that.
The free event in the Sale Botanic Gardens will run from 11 in the morning until 7 p.m. on Sunday. Businesses and individuals are being urged to dig deep in support of the Gippsland Emergency Relief Fund, or GERF. The fund has already distributed $150,000 to victims of the major fires continuing to burn in East Gippsland. But a lack of donations has left the fund, established in the 1970s, with a significant shortfall.
Back home, the damaging Hazelwood fire has forced a review into the way blazes in open-cut coal mines are fought. It has been burning for a month, covering the town of Morwell in ash and smoke. The review will look at issues including the planning that goes into fighting such a difficult fire.
Also look at those strategic and operational things that we may need to improve.
Mr Lapsley wants the initial review completed by the end of the month.